Hello, everyone. This is the second part of this video publication tips. Just a recap from the previous video. Last time we covered what are the structure of a research article. And in that one, we included title, abstract, keywords. We also explained introduction and method section. Also, then later on, result discussion and conclusion, and acknowledgement, references, and supporting material in the last section. We also discussed about the writing process, which section you should really cover. For example, methods, and then followed by results. We write introduction after that, and then depending on your introduction, you write discussion, in the end, conclusion, and then you finalize your title, abstract, and keywords from there. Also, from the previous video take-home message, these points again I want to emphasize. Always keep your message clear and be honest to your readers. State your problem clearly and explain your methodology very clearly. Don't overstate your findings, be concise. Definitely discuss implications of your results and make this your paper enjoyable to read. And always remember, a picture worth 1,000 words, thousands of words rather than 1,000. Follow journal guidelines. And if your paper is rejected, don't worry. Practice, 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 and you may publish in a higher impact factor journal. Okay, last time we left with this last slide that what we want to cover. And this time I want to cover ethics and integrity, which is very, very important, especially for students who sometimes by mistake, make these mistakes, and that's by mistake, not really, purposefully. Authorship, what do's and don'ts, and you hear always about, oh, what is the impact factor of this journal? We'll discuss that also, and H index. So let's cover one by one of these things. First of all, ethics and integrity. So this is a really very important to know before you submit a paper or even before you start writing a paper. First of all, authorships. First author, always you remember first author. You see there are some authors where there is only one author, but there are two, three, and multiple authors. So first author, usually they conduct and or supervise data analysis. Okay, and that's first author's responsibility. Also, they write present and interpret results. Roughly, not really exact, but about 80% of work in a paper is done by the first author. Okay, and they are the one responsible to assemble and submit the paper to a journal. And nowadays, sometimes you see a different corresponding author, and sometimes when your first author is very young or it's a master's student, they don't know, then their supervisors, they become a corresponding author and they submit, but still they are the first author. Remember always, at least in my lab, if there is a student, they should always be the first author. But also remember, the first author usually write the paper, so it should reflect his or her writing. For example, one author, one student has done some research, and after that one, there is not much interest in writing that paper, and they leave. After that, that paper is written by someone else. In that case, this first author need to give them permission, and the writer who took lead in writing that paper should be the first author. Otherwise, it will appear that that paper was written by this first author, and it should not be the case. Okay, so remember this one. Then last author, it depends on country to country, but at least in Australia, at our university, senior scientists are usually on project, and they are the last author. So if there is a project and that senior scientist on that project, they become the last author. And also in our case, if there is a PhD student and they are writing paper, and if I am their main supervisor, I will be the last author. But in other countries, it's all different. For example, some countries they say that the supervisor, principal supervisor, should be the second author. So that's okay. Okay. Now, co-authors usually contribute intellectually to data analysis and interpretation. Co-authors, I'm talking about anyone after the first author, and they review each of these drafts. And that's what I really get disappointed sometimes when they have 5 or 6 authors, and sometimes senior authors in some countries, they don't really contribute, and they say that, oh, just submit this paper, and it's really not acceptable. All authors, they should review this draft, and those young authors or students, they get pressurized submitting without their involvement. So in that case, I think it's all responsibility. So review each and every draft, and responsibility of all co-authors should be that they should present, if someone asks, they should be able to present those results. They should defend implications and discuss limitation of this paper, of this their results, their study. Okay. Now, if someone has not done this thing, then those contributors who do not meet these criteria, where should they go? Last time we discussed this one, they should go in acknowledgement section. I hope now this is all clear, and this is very, very important to understand. Now, ghost authors, and this is what that mean, like leaving out authors who should be included. For example, you start some trials in 2024 this year, and you have got some people who are helping you in those trials, and they are helping you writing methodology, and maybe 2-3 years gone, and that person transferred, or you don't have now good relation with them, and when it's time to write that paper, and when you submit, you exclude their name. So that's ghost authors. That's not really acceptable. In our case, we have very applied type research, so we don't really bother much about authorship and authors, but in some areas it's very, very critical, where I think their progress depends on their papers. Also in journals or in studies where there is some IP issues or patent, definitely, and that authorship is very important. So don't take this very casually. Gift authors means including authors when they did not contribute significantly. I don't want to name country or people, but I've seen many people, their names are added there, and even they did not contribute, and that's not really good. And going forward, it's not really acceptable. So authors who do not contribute, and contribute means each and every paper, even if they did not supervise your research, even they were not involved earlier, but when you start writing, when you start writing paper, they should contribute, they should improve its write up, all those things. And someone who don't really have any contribution, they are called gift authors, so you should avoid that one. Also, this is very important, authors' names, and this one, especially when you are young, when you publish or submit your first paper, you should really think from that way, that you should be consistent. Sometimes, I will just give my example. If I put in one paper Bhagirath Singh Chauhan, my full name, in another paper I take out my middle name and just put Bhagirath Chauhan. In another one, and it's Bhagirath Des Chauhan, and sometimes people, they do, when they don't want to use their surname, and they just put that Des between these two names, and how it appears when people cite your paper, it will be like Chauhan BS, second one will be Chauhan B, and third one will be totally Bhagirath.Chauhan. It will appear like that one. So you know that when Google Scholar or Scopus, when they pick up a name, they will have 3 different profiles, and you will not at your attribution or contribution. So definitely you should think from the first paper. So be consistent. That's what I want to know. I want to explain. Ethic Very important. There are some serious issues we will discuss after that, but just for your information, unethical behavior, whatever you do that degrades the scientific record and reputation. And reputation is very important, not only your author reputation, but also your institute, your country, your region. So that's why it's very important. And it can unfairly affect the reputation of authors. And also it's possible, for example, first author made some mistake, uh, and he or she was not aware of that one, and there are senior authors who don't really have time to check each and everything, whether something was copied or not, and their names are included, and later on that paper, that is actually highlighted or flagged. It means reputation, that's really at stake even for those senior authors. And uh, I had some experience like that one in the past, and it's a very serious issue. So what are the most common ethical misconduct? And these three important one you need to really understand. First is fabrication. What's that mean? You did not, or you may have conducted trials, but you make up all research data. You did not take data, you just go in your office and make those data depending on previous results or depending on your wisdom. Okay, that's called fabrication. Falsification, where you took some data, but later on when you analyzed, you thought that, oh, there is something wrong, or you missed something, and then you try to manipulate and replace some existing data. That's called falsification. And third one is very important, plagiarism. It's the most important ethical issue. Like, for example, previous work taken and passed off as one's own, and they publish. I don't know how people they do. Someone's work they copy and publish as their own. I don't know how can people they do, and it's the most serious crime, I would say, plagiarism. Copying that one. So make sure that you are aware of these three ethical misconduct. Okay. Now, people sometimes ask, what's the plagiarism, and what counts plagiarism? And I would say everything. If you copy from someone's original work, for example, if you have copied a language or words, a sentence has got, for example, 20 words, and out of that 20, 60, 70%, you copied. That's called, plagiarism. So you should not, and I understand, and I can relate that one. When I moved first time from India, I did not know much English, and I used to copy and then try to change. I think that was not really the good technique. I suggest you try to understand in your language, even if English is not your first language, try to understand and then leave that paper away, and then you try to write in your own language, and then later on you try to improve it rather than you copy and then try to change using synonymous. Also, when you take some ideas from some previous papers, and I can say, for example, I had some papers on germination ecology where I discussed in the introduction section, like, effect of temperature, its implication, and then effect of light, its implication, burial depth, its implication. And I've seen many people, they copied that one without citing my paper, and the same ideas is flowing in the same order, and that's called plagiarism. Same with findings. If you copy someone's findings, diagram, graphs, these are very important. Even if you are writing a review, you can't really just copy a previously published diagram or a graph and do. So two things: either you take permission from the publisher, and then you can use the same, exactly the same diagram if they give you permission. Otherwise, you need to modify, and still you need to cite. Okay. Computer programs, there are several programs, and if you copy them, that's plagiarism, and if you don't cite them. For example, also statistical analysis, you copy from previously published papers and you don't really cite that paper and also that statistical package, that's also copied. Also lectures, copying lectures, also plagiarism, electronic materials, any other original work which was done, if you copy, that's called plagiarism. So really very important to know that one. So therefore, correct citation is the key, and I discussed in the previous video also, correct citation means the original citation. Don't really just cite from a review paper. And nowadays, journals have got already plagiarism detection software, and some universities, I think their libraries also have that detection software, always use that one. And also journals are related to COP, Committee on Publication Ethics. They can come after 5 years of publication and still, and they can find that plagiarism issues related to that one. So they actually keep an eye on your paper, so really need to be aware of these things. What could be the consequences? Don't take that very easily. Okay, so for example, article can be retraction. So you will see that retracted. And to me, that's really a very serious issue when your article is retracted because of any reason. And it's not always the fault of authors. Sometimes it's journals, when they try to improve their reputation, they retract your articles based on something like, its review was not done correctly and it was even their fault, but they can retract. So need to be really aware of this one. Also, if your article is retracted, and especially in these countries, Europe, Australia, USA, disciplinary action can be taken by your institute. And what can that be? In our case, we may also lose our job. So it's really a very serious issue. So you need to be aware of plagiarism. Now, other than that, I did not cover this one last time. If you are submitting a paper, how do you choose a journal? How do you know that where to submit? And sometimes people, they submit to a wrong journal, and later on, it's delayed 2 months gone, and then later on, editor or editors, they send it back and they say that, oh, it's not in the not related to our journal, and that's really your fault. So how would you choose the journal? First of all, you need to know who is your audience. In my case, if I'm doing something on weeds, I know my audience are weed scientists, weed researchers, or students working on weeds. Also, agronomists who want to know more about weeds. So I will try to find that type of journal or that type of magazine where people read those papers. Otherwise, I won't really, if I'm doing something on weeds, I can't really go and submit to a biochemistry journal. Okay. Second is, we always see aims and scope, and I would give example of our recent journal which we launched very recently. And in that one, I defined this aim and scope of this journal. So you will see what is covered. For example, nutrient management, pest biology and management. So all papers related to these aspects. That's called aim and scope. Okay. So you see that one. Also, some people, this editorial board, that, oh, who are those editors? Whether they are well reputed or just just a few people selected by a journal just to increase their impact factor. So you need to really see that one. Also, some people, they are always in a hurry and they see what is the publication time. If a journal publishes in 2 weeks, 2 months, or take 6 months. So they also see, and what is their review time, publication time, all those things. Also, quality. Quality is very important, that whether a journal publishes good quality paper or just poor quality. So you can see also that one, and then you choose a journal. Also, some people, they see rejection rates. Some journals have got more than 80% rejection rates, and you don't really want to just waste your time on that one. But some people, they want to get good comments from them. So yeah, you can decide accordingly. Also, so if you still struggle where to submit, if you go to your article, which article you have written, and go to its reference list and see which journal you have cited the most. And that may be your targeted journal. Still not clear? Ask your supervisor or colleagues where that paper should go, and I think you will be able to submit to a right journal. I hope this is all clear. Now, some journals, they ask you to suggest a list of reviewers, and this is very important. And why is that? Because when I was the editor-in-chief of crop protection, we had some issues when people were actually suggesting reviewers. So there are some issues here. Let's discuss. First of all, if you suggest something, some reviewers, that list may help the editor or associate editor quickly advance your manuscript to the review stage, and they can send it directly. In my case, I don't usually select those reviewers which are suggested by authors, and the issue is because in the past people, they created fake email list of their own names, and when I was sending something, for example, to John, it was going to them, and they were actually reviewing. So that's why it's very important. Suggest from at least 2 different. If you are in one country, suggest from 2 different regions or different countries. Don't suggest your supervisors, your direct colleagues, co-authors, or close friends, even from your own university or your institute. Don't really, And if you are suggesting, give that reason. Sometimes it's possible that there is only one person who is doing work on that particular topic, and you don't have any option, but you give that a reason why. Second, you can also suggest if, for example, many people, they have conflicts, and in our case, yes, there is competition, conflicts, and I always suggest that, oh, don't send it to XYZ, because we know that they are also doing the same work, and sometimes people are not really transparent, not honest, they will reject those papers. So these are things. Also, the example I gave you, people, they create on email list, and that's related to that one. You use institutional email address, so don't give like Gmail or those addresses. If you are suggesting some reviewers, give their universities or their institutions email addresses. Usually journals ask you 3, but you can provide 3 to 6 potential names. Now, impact factor. Many people, they have, and I think in some countries they have got their own ratings. For example, in India, they call it NAS rating. Don't use outside of that one. We don't know what is that one. I know at least, because I deal with those papers, but outside of that, if you always talk about, oh, journals NAS rating is this one. People outside of India, they don't know. So use this impact factor. So what is this one? It's a ratio between citations and citable items. Usually it used to be until last year, they used to take 2 years data, but now changed recently. Now you see, that's why you see most journals impact factor increased. So I just give example, what is this ratio between citations and citable items? For example, we want to calculate H index in 2024, this year. So we will see in that journal citation in 2023. In 2023 citations from 2022, 500 citations. From papers published in 2021, 300. So total for these 2 years was 800. Now, items published in 2022 in that journal is 150, and 2021, 250. So total 400. So when we divide citations by citable items, 800 divided by 400, that's 2. So impact factor of this journal is 2. I hope this is now clear how they calculate impact factor. And your NAS rating, that's addition, I think 4. So it's a NAS rating would be 6. I think 6 or 4. I am not really sure. So it would be 6 or 8. Okay. Now, if you see from here, you should really know now multidisciplinary journals where, like, for example, Frontiers in Plant Science or Scientific Reports, where they publish papers from different disciplines. Their impact factor will always be higher than discipline specific, for example, weed science, because everyone is citing from there, all different disciplines, but a weed science paper will be read and cited by only weed scientists, so it makes sense. So after that one, H index, you have heard, people are talking about H index. Now there are two H index, and I'll give my example rather than going and taking permission from other people. So let's say Google Scholar versus Scopus. Now Google Scholar is it includes gray literature. We don't really include there, and universities in these countries don't include Google Scholar H index. Why? Because they can they include articles published in conferences where they are not usually reviewed, also on Google somewhere from your presentation. So that's not really the best way to cite H index. But if you see here also, what's that one? H index is 80. IH index, what's that mean? At least, those 365 articles, my 365 articles were cited at least 10 times. That's called H index. Okay, if we go from Google Scholar to Scopus, that's what we usually include, Google Scopus or Web of Science. Okay, and how, if you go into that website, you will see easily your H index, and Google Scopus actually, and it includes articles only published in Scopus indexed journals. Okay, so here it's citation, how many times for each paper, and that's an x-axis document. So my H index, Scopus H index is 58. Now you see that 80 versus 58, big difference. So I won't really cite this 80, I would say 58. But what is the meaning of 58? So H index, my 58 means I have published at least 58 papers. So my total papers may be more than 450 or around 500. But what 58 means? That I have published at least 58 papers, and each of these 58 papers, each of these have been cited 58 or more times. If you see there, that's these 58 papers on x-axis, and they were cited at least 58 times. If you see on y-axis, so that's why 58 H index. If my 80 papers, like for example, if they are cited at least 80 times, so here it would go like that one. If they are published at least 80 times, then my H index would be 80. Okay. Now this is okay, but important thing to note down, don't compare one discipline to another one. For example, a breeder, their priority is not to publish papers. Their priority is to breed new varieties. So don't compare them with molecular biologist or biochemist, where they have to publish and their papers are cited highly. Their H index will always be high. So don't compare different disciplines. So don't compare a weed scientist with maybe, for example, a biochemist or a molecular biologist. Within weed science also, I suggest don't compare weed ecologist with biochemist, weed biochemist. Okay, so these are all different. So that's why I don't really use H index to compare with other people, but also if you are in the same area, then you can compare. Okay, also H index, high H index does not mean that high quality. For example, if I'm citing someone's paper in a negative way, I'm still citing their paper, that would increase their H index. Okay, that does not mean that I cited that positively. Okay, so does not always reflect quality. So you need to understand these all things. So not really a good parameter there. I think that's what I want to cover in this presentation. And this is last slide again. Send me your suggestions what to cover next. I think we have covered most about publication, and now we'll go into research areas, and we'll try to go now out, and I will try to post some videos related to weeds or crops, and we'll see next week. And also send me your suggestion in this email. Again, I would like to promote this journal we have launched recently. So we request you to submit articles for its first issue. At this moment, there's no fee. Also, we welcome people interested in it's a editorial board, so send me that one. With that one, thank you.